Perfect. We're recording then. Should we proceed, Kashmir? Okay, perfect. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Aparajita, here to take you on another riveting journey through today's gender and sexuality webinar hosted by Anajuri. Before we introduce today's speaker and jump right in, here is a little bit about Enajori for any new faces that have joined us this evening. The word Enajori translates to unconditional love. And it is this unconditional bond of love that brought our founder, Mary Dotto, back from the United States of America to begin this nonprofit organization in 2018. Through Enajori, Ami decides to engage with and promote various endeavors and leaders who are striving for social change. Multiple initiatives ranging from animal welfare to LGBTQ plus awareness to entrepreneurial pursuits. Through these, we hope to encourage all the change makers of the Northeast, including Assam. As in the last few months, Ami invite Korisu speakers from different fields through virtual media platforms so that Ami network এখন বনাব পাৰো of competent, sincere, dedicated individuals who are passionate about uplifting Assam and the Northeast. Would now like to introduce David Sir, formally and informally, to break the ice. David Sir is a Ph.D. Research Scholar at Dibrugarh University and the former editor of Northeast Style magazine. His academic writings have been published in the Yeats Journal of Korea and Language in India. He is a freelance writer by passion, and his think pieces have been published in the Assam Tribune, Film Companion, Queer Guru, Gaylaxy, Gaysi, among others. His areas of interest are pop culture, cinema, queer culture, marginalized history, etc. And yeah, I would want you to perhaps talk about, some informal things about you. What is it that you like to do in your fun time, David sir? Kiba hobbies, ba apunar বিষয়ে, what we can't cover through the formal medium. If you want to add a little bit for the audience.
Yeah. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, just like you have already said a lot. So there's nothing much more to add from my side. So I like to believe that I belong to the field of academics. So right now I'm currently pursuing my PhD from Dibrugarh University. I basically like to watch movies and write about them. So this I have been interested in movies since my childhood, and cinema as a medium has always interested me very much. And I believe that art imitates life and vice versa. So, I mean, through cinema, I believe that cinema has the power to change society. And it has also the power to influence society positively or negatively, depending on how one takes it. So without much ado, I would like to start my today's formal talk. Today, I would like to talk about queerness in Assamese cinema. Okay. So if I'm not audible, please tell me, okay? So just one second. So this topic would not have been possible. Just one second, okay? I'm just. This topic would not have been possible to talk about even 5 or 6 years ago, because the representation of queerness in Assamese cinema began in the last 5 or 6 years, roughly. So I think it's a positive change that we can today have a talk about this topic, because this indicates that times are changing and audiences are changing, most importantly. To think of that, there are no the current political situation in the country is that if we do something controversial or if we try to speak out, then people are forcibly shut down or they are legally tried upon. But the fact that the representation of LGBTQ in Assamese cinema began very smoothly, and the fact that the audiences has embraced it, no one is complaining it, no one is complaining about it, or rather, even if they are talking, they are providing healthy criticism. They are taking it in the healthy way. There means the people are having a discussion, but no one is outright rejecting the idea of LGBT in Assamese cinema. So I believe the slide is visible, isn't it? Okay, okay.
Yes. Yes.
So this is the poster of the first, this is the poster of the German film, different from the others. The film was released in 1919, right after the First World War. So it just happened that after the First World War, there was a lot of chaos in Europe and especially in Germany. And as a result, there was no censor board for a brief amount of time. And exactly in that moment, a filmmaker called Richard Oswald took the opportunity and made the first homosexual themed film in the world. As the name itself suggests, different from the others, the, the film tried to educate the people regarding this new concept, or rather, the concept that is already in the society, but people were not ready to talk about. So, this is the first instance in world cinema where people got to see this topic on screen. Of course, it garnered extreme reactions, but I would rather not go into details about that right now. So that was the beginning of the queer or the representation of homosexuality in the cinema screen, on the cinema screen. And then to talk about India, the first Indian film to deal with a homosexual relationship was Prem Kapoor's Badnaam Basti. The film was released in 1971, and the government also was involved in making the film in a way that it was the okay, organizations like NFDC were associated with making this film. They funded the film. They had creative discussions in making the film. And initially, the film was also edited by Rishikesh Mukherjee. But later, it so happened that the director Prem Kapoor had some creative differences, and he finally decided to do it himself. So that was the first Indian film on a mainstream level. It was a Hindi film, and talking about regional cinema, in regional cinema, the first film to deal with homosexuality or rather same-sex relationship was I think it's the Malayalam film called Randu Pen Kuttikal. The film was released in 1978. The film dealt with the relationship between two women. Okay, so this was that, and if we talk about Assamese cinema, first Assamese film to deal with the issue of same-sex relationship was a lesbian-themed direct-to-video short film released in 2005 and 6. Okay, this information is a bit obscure because I remember reading about it, but unfortunately, I remember reading about it a long time ago, but unfortunately, I didn't keep a record of it. And also, there are no such record available in the internet also about regarding this information. But I can very certainly say that the first Assamese film to deal with the issue of same-sex relationship was released around 2005 or 6, and it was a direct-to-home video like this. The concept, like I think there was the concept of VCR or CD like that. So that was the first attempt in
Yeah.
Assamese cinema. Okay, so also, as I earlier mentioned, that 5 or 6 years ago, this topic would not have been possible. So the journey that began, the full, on a full-length scale, the first Assamese feature film to have a homosexual character in its narrative was Kenny Bosmotari's Shakespeare-inspired comedy, Local Kung Fu 2. The film was based on Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors. I think many people have seen this film because
Yeah, this is quite popular.
yeah, it's very popular. But the interesting thing about this is that It wasn't promoted during the promotion. It was never revealed that the film has a homosexual character. It was only after the release when the reviews came in, and mainly the national media picked up the issue. For instance, in a review for The Hindu, a renowned film critic in fact began the review of the film with the mention of the homosexual character. So it was refreshing to see that Kenny Basmotari has used a queer character, but he decided not to promote it as one. I think one can read many ways into it, but I think Kenny Basmotari, the filmmaker he is, I think he didn't want to make too much of fuss about it, or rather, he didn't want to limit his film into one category. Also, about the character, the gay character in the film is unapologetic, so to say. It didn't he didn't fit into any cliche or any box of sorts. In fact, he was very happy. He's unapologetic. In fact, he's a police inspector in the film, and it made more so an impact because here was a gay character who is not Bechara. Man. Most of the time, a gay character is shown in the marginalized. He is
Yeah,
bullied.
as a
But in
sidekick.
this, yeah, yeah. But in this film, he had a stand of his own. He's very confident. He's respected in his job and he's respected in the society. So I think that was very refreshing for the audiences to see, and for me to particular to see that he's giving it a very Kenny Bosmotari has given it a very nonchalant treatment. So there is no hoo-ha about being a queer character.
Mhm.
The next film I want to talk about is the Bulbul Can Sing. I think this one is also quite popular. Many people have seen it. The director is Rima Das. After the success of her previous film Village Rockstars, the film got a lot of attention from the world media. There was a lot of publicity regarding the film. The film was also screened at the Berlin Film Festival, where it also won an award, if I'm not wrong. Again, this film, okay, one thing I like about Rima Das's films are that it gives you a sense of freedom. There is no restrictiveness because আমি যদি বেলেগ অসমীয়া চিনেমা চাব যাওঁ বেছিভাগে বহুত মানে ভদ্ৰতা হয় বা বহুত মানে ৰীতি নীতি নিয়মৰ মাজত থাকে মানে তেনেকুৱা এটা সেন্স ক্লস্ট্ৰফোবিয়া সেন্স এটা ফিল এটা আহে কিন্তু ৰীমা দাসে যদিও মানে কাহিনীবোৰ তেওঁৰ গাঁৱতে হয় বা যদিও ভিলেজতে হয় কাহিনীবোৰ মেক্সিমাম কিন্তু তাইৰ মানে ষ্টৰিটো বা তাইৰ নেৰেটিভটো এনেকে প্ৰেজেন্ট কৰে যাতে এইটো চালে মানে এটা সেন্স অফ ফ্ৰীডম বা এটা সেন্স অফ ৰেবেলিয়াছনেছ ফিলটো আহে মানে যোনটো সেই বস্তুটো বুলবুল কেন সিং চিনেমাখনতো আছে মানে আৰু এই পিকচাৰটো মই ৰাইট সাইডত মেইনলি ইউজ কৰিছো যোন ৰাইট সাইডত যোনটো পিকচাৰ ইউজ কৰা হৈছে কাৰণ এই সিনটো যেতিয়া চিনেমাখনত ওলাই so yet the film is basically about these three characters. The main character Bulbul, her friend Bonnie, and the guy, his name is Sumon, or he is also called as Sumu. So even in this film, it is in a very subtle manner, it is implied that Sumu is different, or rather he is queer. Because he spent most of his time with these two girls, and these three are best friends. So in this scene particular, when they are taking a bath in the river, there is no any sign of discomfort among them because these girls already know that Sumu is different, or rather he is gay. But in the film, it is never spelled out. চিনেমাখনত মানে কেতিয়াও মানে স্পষ্টভাৱে নকয় যে চুমুৱে সি গে হয় বা তেনেকুৱা হয় বুলি কেতিয়াও স্পষ্টভাৱে চিনেমাটোত কোৱা নহয় আৰু তেওঁ মানে সেইটো ৰীমা দাসে জানি বুজি বস্তুটো তেনেকে কৰিছে যাতে অডিয়েন্সে নিজে বুজিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰে বা নিজে বুজি পাওক যে সি অলপ বেলেগ হয় আৰু এই চিনেমাখনত যে যোনটো বুলবুলৰ যোনটো বয়ফ্ৰেণ্ড আছে মানে স্কুলত পঢ়ে তিনিটাই So স্কুলৰ মানে টিনেজ লাভ ষ্টৰী টাইপ বুলবুলৰ যোনটো বয়ফ্ৰেণ্ড আছে সেই ল'ৰাটো চুমুৰ কেৰেক্টাৰটোৱে সি কিবা এট্ৰেকশ্যন এটা ফিল কৰে যোনটো বস্তুটো চিনেমাটোত মানে বহুত সাটল হিচাপে দেখুওৱা হৈছে so this is again and important in the sense that the actor who played the role of Sumu, Manoranjan Das, he bagged many awards, many international and national awards also. And in Assam, Assamese cinema karne eta award dia hoy Prague Cine Award boli. So এই Prague Cine Award মানে সেইটো বছৰৰ হি শ্ৰেষ্ঠ অভিনেতা পাইছে। So মানে আৰু চাবলৈ গ'লে চিনেমাখনত তাৰ ৰোলটো বৰ মানে স্ক্ৰীনটো মানে বৰ কেপচাৰো নকৰে সি যেতিয়া মানে স্ক্ৰীনত ওলাই তেতিয়া বৰ বেছি মানে হেৰিও নহয় মানে স্ক্ৰীনটো ফ্ৰেমটো হিয়ে খাই পেলাইছে বাকি ক্যাৰেক্টাৰখিনিক মানে স্পেচ দিয়া নাই তেনেকুৱা নহয় কিন্তু হলেও মানে ৰীমা দাসৰ ডিৰেকশ্যন আৰু তাৰ মানে যোনটো নেচাৰেল এক্টিং সেইখিনি চাব গ'লে কিন্তু বহুত ইম্পেক্টফুল হয় মানে ইনফেক্ট চিনেমাখনত সুমুৰ ক্যাৰেক্টাৰটোক তাৰ স্কুলৰ লগৰবিলাকে লেডিজ বুলি মাতে এই কনসেপ্টটো বহুতেই চাগে আমি বাহিৰতো শুনিছো অলপ যদি লৰা মানটো অলপ যদি বেলেগ হয় বা he doesn't fit into the manly mold then he is bullied so similarly at sumur character ko bully kora hoy aru the fact that he won the award it means a lot because jeneke moi agote koa nisnake in fact local kung fu to cinema khonu মানে কেতিয়াও মানে queer related বা queer theme বুলি promote কৰা নাছিলে similarly বুলবুল কেন সিং সিনেমাখনো মানে promotion যেতিয়া কৰা হৈছিলে তেতিয়াও মানে ইয়াত একো LGBTQ কথা কোৱা নাছিলে so it's very interesting that the filmmakers are introducing this new concept in Assamese cinema but they're leaving it to the audience to decide if they can make it out if they can grasp the subtlety of it or if they can grasp the queer elements of the film and also the next film I want to talk about is The Fireflies Junaki Purwa by
Yeah.
Prakash Teka. I think this one also made quite noise when it released. I think it never got a theatrical release. I think it released in the time of pandemic, I suppose. So it
Interestingly,
was
this one was produced by Milind Datta
yeah,
sir,
yeah, yeah,
who's
of course, of
yeah.
course. So of course, since Milind sir is associated with it, this film was bound to have some authentic elements, just like casting of some real transgender people rather than allowing straight people to act like transgender people, and also in the casting of Benjamin Doimari. He himself is a gay person, which he came out after the release of the film. Interestingly, so there are many authentic. The fact that genuine queer people are associated with making this film gives the film a so what to say a patch above the others. Also, this film, while watching this film, I had many questions actually. So, the character of Benjamin Doimari, uh, um, there are many shades to being a transgender. So, in this film, I suppose that Benjamin Doimari's character, he is born biologically as a boy, but he's more in his expressions. He is feminine. He wants to dress like a he wants to dress like a girl. He puts on makeup, and or rather, he hangs out with only girls. So in this case, the people have to understand that initially he was born biologically a male, but later towards the end of the film, he transitions into a woman after undergoing a surgery. So the concept of the gharanas that is shown in the film, which I found to be quite authentic or rather convincing to the story, because he's not just running away. And sometimes in films we get to see that a character in trouble runs away from his home and he has a happy ending, but in this film doesn't really have a happy ending. He doesn't, because after joining the Gharana and after having the sex change operation, he's almost forced to work as a prostitute, if I may say. He's forced to make his ends meet by working as a sex worker. So this is not really a happy ending. I mean, if we look at it that way. Also, Benjamin Doimari also won the national award for his performance. I think it was a special jury mention performance or something like that. And the fact that when he accepted the award from the Vice President of India, he went on to the dais, to the stage wearing heels. So this was, I think it was quite a bold move to do, because one can say it is a perfect example of life imitating art here. Because in the film, it's one thing to make a film about a brave individual, but Benjamin, when he accepted the award wearing heels, I think it made a statement. And I think if I may say so, this is going to be an important moment, or rather, that moment should be included in one of the most important pop culture moments, pop culture moments of this country. And also talking about the Benjamin's character in the film, we have to focus our attention towards the term called gender dysphoria. So, what is gender dysphoria? Gender dysphoria is a term that describes a sense of unease that a person may have because of a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. This sense of unease or dissatisfaction may be so intense it can lead to depression and anxiety and have a harmful impact on daily life. So to put it in a simple words, if suppose suppose someone is born as a boy, but he from inside he feels like a woman. He always want to express himself as a woman. So that sense of unease, that conflict between his biological sex, which is assigned at birth, and the sex which he desire. I mean, if a boy wants to be a woman, a boy wants to be a girl, or a girl wants to be a boy, and it is known as the concept of gender dysphoria fits in here. And as we see in the film, Benjamin's character constantly struggles with his identity. And since the story is set in the village, it is all the more difficult for him to understand, because there is no because there is no one like him, and also there is no access to knowledge where he can understand himself. The next concept I want to talk about is the concept of being a butch woman. And this, in the film, we see that Benjamin's character, Jahanu, he also has a sister who is very manly in her mannerisms and behavior. Okay. And her name is Dumu. In the film, his sister is a constant source of emotional support for Jahanu. So, what is a butch woman then? Traditionally, in lesbian culture, the word butch refers to a woman whose gender expression and traits present as typically masculine. Being butch is about playing with and challenging traditional binary male and female gender roles and expressions. So in the film, Janu's sister Jumu never had the agency or the opportunity to speak out for herself, but she encourages Janu to listen to his heart and his body. So it is very interesting that both the siblings are queer in their own way. If Janu suffers from or he is struggling with gender dysphoria, then the term that best fits his sister Jumu is butch woman, because being a woman, it's clear that in the film she is different, and she is a lesbian most probably, and and the term we can use to describe her is being butch, because being butch means manly, a woman who behaves in a manly way, or rather dresses in a manly way, talks in a manly way. Okay, one more thing about the film, The Fireflies Junaki Poro, I'd like to talk about here is in the film, we see that Jahanu's love interest in the film, Palash, an older gay man, is shown as living separately away from the villagers. It can be interpreted as a sign of ostracism, highlighting the mindset that in a traditional rural Assamese social setting, there is no place for homosexuality. So, this fact in particular, the fact that Jahanu's love interest in the film, Palash, is who is older to him, is shown as living separately. So when I had a conversation with Prakash Dekka while researching about the film and writing my article, I asked him about this particular incident, and Dekka's response was, I'd just like to read out. When we were younger, there was no concept of LGBTQ as a community in India. We used to see and hear about such people who are considered different by the majority of the people. Some of them were even forced to marry by their family members to avoid the risk of suspicion. The character of Palash is someone who never had the courage to face the society due to self hatred and self shame inflicted upon him by the same society. So he finds it comfortable to live at a safe distance away from the society that discriminates him. So this was his response. So the film in general has a very, what you say, it's not a feel good film. Unlike local Kung Fu 2, this one it has very tragic undertones. Okay. The two outcasts, Dahanu and Palash, together form an instant connection and give this film its lighter and romantic moments. Jahanu's life was never supposed to be easy, but he decides to change his narrative by running away from home to join a gharana for transgender people. He eventually transitions by undergoing gender reassignment surgery to embark on his journey towards becoming a full-fledged female. Descartes tried to stay as authentic as possible to the subject matter of his film by casting real transgender actors rather than have male actors appropriate the transgender community. So moving on to the next film. The next film that I would like to talk about is Bhaskar Hazarika's film Amik. As the name itself reveals, Amik means, yeah, Amik means non-vegetarian. Okay. So while discussing this film, I would like to use one theory here. According to American literary critic Eve Kosofsky Sedgwick, understanding queer sexuality is about trying to understand different kinds of sexual desire and how the culture defines them. So, okay, if we apply this definition to Hazarika's film Amik, then we can see that there are many ways to interpret the film. I think those who have seen the film already know that these two characters they develop a mutual attraction towards each other. But since the woman is married, already married, so they decide to um, consummate their relationship in a very different way. So their connection is not sexual because there is no between the two characters there is no physical contact in the film. So uh, the first thing that we can talk about here is asexuality. If we look at it from a queer perspective, there is no sexual attraction between the two. Or even if they have sexual attraction, they never act on it because, in a way, they are also respecting the boundaries of the society. The two character, one is a married woman, and the other one is played by Orghodip Porua, Sumon. His character is a PhD research scholar, and which I'm assuming, as shown in the film, in Guwahati University, because the location seems the same. So the first point is asexuality here, and the second point is the concept of cannibalism in the film. Okay, Bhaskar Hajarika dares to make a film that pushes the boundaries in terms of storytelling. Although the film involves scene of consuming each other's meat, the two characters consume each other's meat, but it is shown in a very beautiful, romantic, and poetic kind of way. There is no gore or blood on screen, but we get the idea that they are cutting away flesh from their body and feeding each other. So, so here we can put a question: can we put cannibalism under the rubric of queer desire? Because queer desire means anything, okay, anything that is not binary or anything that is not heterosexual, anything that is outside the accepted norm of society falls under queer. So, so concepts like asexuality also falls under queer. But here, keeping in mind the context of the film, can we also ask the question, or rather the radical question, that can we put cannibalism under the rubric of queer desire? And I think this, and there is no easy answer to this, and it cannot be answered in a day or two. We need to have a discussion, or rather, we need to watch the film again. We also need to have a discussion with the filmmaker also, rather, regarding what was his intention in showing cannibalism as a symbol of love and desire on the screen. So basically, these are the movies that I wanted to talk about. So if there are
Okay.
any questions, then we can maybe have a little more discussion.
But this has been excellent, especially I'm hooked to the cannibalism be
Mm,
considered part of queer desire section. That really is such an interesting question to be posed.
yeah.
What do you think led to the movie being called Army? As
Mm.
in, what according to you may have led to this unorthodox, a little different title? Um, yeah.
Um, Initially, before the release of the film, no one had, I think no one had any idea that the film would be about cannibalism. It was only after the film that I was literally shocked watching the film, but interestingly, I didn't feel disgusted because it was shown in such a beautiful way. Means all the meats are decorated just like a chef decorates food in a
It's
five-star
like
hotel.
Hannibal
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Cannibal. Yeah.
yeah. It's almost like appetizing. If you didn't know, maybe yeah, that's I think that's the idea behind the filmmakers naming it Amik also. But I
Yeah,
think,
that's
according to my interpretation, just like I said earlier, because Assamese films mostly adhere to traditions. So here, when I talked about asexuality, I think they were respecting the boundaries that she's a married woman, and I would rather not have any physical relation with her. But I think there's a burning desire inside them. I think that which led to the idea of cannibalism. I think maybe that's because since it is such an outrageous idea in itself, and there is, you see, if certain things, because this is beyond, I think no one in Assamese culture has ever discussed this concept, even in writing, even in Assamese literature. I think there is no concept of cannibalism. So this idea itself is so big in itself that I think there is no rule against it. Interestingly, I think I think there is no any rule in our country. Correct me if I'm wrong. There is no rule that you cannot consume each other's flesh, but there is a rule that you cannot commit adultery. So I think they
yeah.
were in a way respecting the boundary, but and again creating new ways of expressing their desire. I think that's
That's brilliant. Um, what among all these films that you've talked about? Also, one thing I would want you to to add to this discussion is the link to your article so that everybody can read it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Perhaps
yeah,
we
yeah.
can yeah do that in the chat box and we can promote it a little bit so that people can read this excellent article that David Sir has written
Mhm.
on queer cinema in Assam. But also, I'm really curious to know which of these films is your favorite and why. So whenever you might want to answer that.
Okay. Yeah, my favorite is Amish. I think it's quite obvious because it's the whole treatment of the film is very different because and one can arguably say that Amik is the best Assamese film made till today, according to me, because it's just in its own league. You cannot compare it to anyone else. There's no other film that you can have a parallel study, something like that. It's just in its own league, and everyone is perfect in the film. Oh, and I just forgot mention one more thing. Since we were talking about queerness in Assamese cinema, in this film, there is also one more character called Ilyas. Okay, I think Ilyas, since Sumon, the character of Orghodip Borua, is a PhD research scholar, and the character of Ilyas, I think, is his university senior, I suppose. So Ilyas is gay in the film. He has a very small role, but his character is gay and he has an attraction towards Sumon. So and I'm not just assuming things here. I had a conversation with the actor who played the role of Elias. His name is Sagar Saurabh, and he himself admitted that his character is gay, and not many people could make out that actually his character is queer because I think the filmmaker also intended it that way. And that's also one thing I like about Bhaskar Hazarika, that he doesn't spoon feed you. He may leaves many things to open interpretation.
Interpretation. Mm.
So that's why I like. I think if I have to say,
It,
Amik is one of the best films I have seen in all languages. Just
that's beautiful. Can you suggest sites where we can perhaps download these or access these, stream these?
okay,
हमें
this
कुछ सब
movies.
पढ़ें.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think this Amik is I think it's streaming in this app called Sony Live, something like that. I think it is streaming there right now.
Okay. Okay. Those are my
And
questions. Yeah. Please go on.
okay, and I think Bulbul Can Sing is streaming on Netflix.
Perfect. I am definitely going to go watch Amish today. I don't know about anyone else. It reminds me of Hannibal the Cannibal because although the concept is supposed to be disturbing, it's so aesthetically made that not for a second do you feel, like grossed out. Yes, disturbed. Yes, something at the back of your mind is already saying that you're not supposed to be watching this. Maybe you have fever, or I don't know, you feel really weird after it. But the aesthetics are so beautiful that you never.
Mhm. Your voice is a bit muffled. I'm sorry, the audio is not clear. The audio is not clear, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, now I can hear.
Perfect. So, would want the audience to perhaps chime in with any questions that they might have. I see Kashmira Ba, I see Sharmila Ba. If anyone wants to chime in, we'll take a few questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap up. This has been excellent. Do you have any, I don't know, short movie trailers or anything that you might want to share with us as well?
Mm, I'm still getting the hang of it, man. Using Zoom. If you don't use it regularly, then it's a bit tricky.
Yeah, you can go on to Google Chrome. Then
Yeah.
आपको yeah YouTube खुली से लेना.
Uh,
YouTube अपना डाटा खुला है ऐसे. So if you have any trailers or short clips in mind, खुलो केटो screen con खुलो. Yeah, now you can search, and then we can watch. But you'll have to share your audio. That is a tiny button. Share screen or sort of. There'll be an advanced setting जो अपनी audio share करो forever. Can you check?
yes.
Share screen or sort of. There'll be something that will allow you to share audio.
Okay.
Is it that?
Mm-hmm. Not good. Is it with here? I don't know.
Pale share screen or sort of থাকে generally. I might wanna. It's okay. We don't necessarily have to do this. Um, if not for this, this has been a beautiful session. I have loved every bit of it. We'll reach out to you in the future as well for any panel discussions or anything else that we might have, especially since cinema and queer, they're just like you said, cinema and art, they imitate society and they send messages to people, especially us queer folk, right? We stand to benefit so much from art. So I'm going to reach out to you in the future as well. This has been an amazing session. Amik saboy jamoy dia utimo amik.
And I hope I was audible and clear
Yes,
because
absolutely. There was absolutely no network issue, so not to worry. The video is also up on Facebook, and thank you so much, David sir. It was
welcome.
lovely doing this.
Thank you.
Um,
And thank you to you guys too. And I'd also like to thank Mukul Sharma sir who suggested me for this. Thank you.
did you so Kashmira Ba wants to know if you ever considered making short films or
For me,
yeah, or writing scripts for it because you write. So yeah,
yeah, there's of course there's some ideas in my mind, but let's see how it pans out in the future.
okay. And in your PhD topic, is this your topic for your PhD? This what you're researching on?
Not exactly. My topic is related to queer studies, but not. This is cinema. Since I'm doing my PhD in English, so it has to be more literature. So it's different.
Thank you so much. This has been beautiful. Thank you to everyone who joined the Facebook Live and came by today evening. We will see you again Thursday next week. Have a good night. Thank you, David sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.
Night.